Okay, here we have an old air compressor that was about to be slated for the scrap pile. The back here was full of dirt dauber nests, so it couldn't clean itself out. Had to get rid of all those. The switch was malfunctioning, and it's supposed to have a regulator gauge here and a pressure gauge here. So I'm in the process of replacing all of that. So here we go. I go ahead and apologize for the wind noise that's going to be being picked up. I don't have a better camera anymore. Now this one already has the thread sealer on it, so it's just a straight bolt in. You don't have to add any Teflon to it. Maybe I've got that in place, I don't know. Save some battery life. Cut that stupid flash off. Now your little pop-off valve, safety valve, goes right here. And as always, I turn them backwards to make sure I line the threads up properly, because I don't want to cross thread any of this soft brass, because once you've done it, you cannot undo it. The damage will be done. All right, that's going in. Hope it's going in correctly. I'll look at my threads, make sure I'm not damaging anything. Everything still looks good. It is always better to replace this safety pop-off valve, because it's better to have this pop off if something goes wrong with your pressure regulator switch than to have damage happen in your air compressor. Now in this filter here, I went ahead and put the oil, and it's got, come loose for me now, it's gonna make a liar out of me. I'll mess with that later. But anyway, I put a little oil in so that it will oil the upper cylinder in this compressor. You check your oil for the drive of the compressor down here. Always replace that every year, whether you need to or not, whether you've used it or not rather, and you'll be good to go. Now this, the problem that I had on this compressor was the gauge here was in bar, it wasn't in PSI. So I'm switching it over to this PSI gauge, and this one will go on the regulator valve. And then, not sponsored by Florida Cable, as you know, I don't have any sponsors. And if I ever do, you know, I'll let you know. And then we've got this one will go over here. So let's get them in. But if you take care of your older tools, I personally believe some of your older tools are made better than the newer tools. Get this to stick to it. And what I always do is I always turn my Teflon in the same direction that it threads in. And what this does is it overlaps. If it'll ever get that last little wrap over, I just put a coat around it. Then you have to make sure you don't plug your hole, because that defeats the purpose of the air gauge. I wrap it around it so that when I'm turning it, it doesn't unravel it. And you're only going to have this Teflon in the low grooves when you complete this. It's not going to be in the high spots. Get it lined up good, because just like I said, you don't want to cross thread this stuff. Once you get it tore up on this brass, trying to feel the threads line themselves up. There they go, right there, that's lined up. And then this regulator valve right here will let you adjust, and I'll tighten this up a little bit and turn this valve up where I can see it. And I like to do something from the formula style of racing. If I'm going to run this gauge and I'm going to reduce my pressure, say for instance I'm going to run paint, or not paint, but gel coat gun. What I want to do is turn it to where I'm straight up and down on my pressure for my gel coat gun, which is 12 pounds pressure, which means the zero is going to be pointing almost straight up. And that way I can dial it in, and I don't have to get down and put my reading glasses on and get down here like this to read these little tiny numbers. So I'm getting her pretty tight, so I'm going to bring that up to where 12 pounds will be at 12 o'clock on this gauge. Don't want to over tighten it, but I got it there. That'll work. And then if I'm at a distance and I see it coming down into here, I know I'm way too much pressure. Because sometimes these regulators, they do not function properly in this switch. And if you get it to where it does not cut off, you have to take this off, and then you need to unplug it so that you don't get electrocuted. Then you take this off and you go in and you adjust your pressure sensor spring to get your 120 or 130, whatever PSI it is that you're wanting it to cut off at. And I think this is a I don't know, I'll have to look this up. I can't remember if it's a 140 or a 160 pop-off valve. It's 150. 150 PSI. So at 150 PSI, this thing will start going making all kind of noise, letting you know you've screwed up. All right. I'll see so many people put just a big wad of Teflon on these threads they're getting ready to put in, and then they wind up with a big wad on the outside of the thread, and that's not any good either. Preferably if I had a 90 over here to turn this up. Now I'll probably go get me a 90 and an extension and turn this up later on, but for right now I just want to get the compressor running and take it through its paces. Don't think I'm going to be able to get this one to turn the way I want it to. It's already feeling tight, tight, tight. Maybe it will. That's good right there. Now I'll show you a picture of what these look like. And we'll turn on the noise and let it rattle. Now let's see if our cutoffs actually work or not. See if I can get back here where you can actually see me turn it on. 120, and she cut off. And then I can control this pressure. I can turn it up, turn it down, get what I want out of it. I now have a working air compressor. And before, this valve right here for $40 is what was wrong. It was popping off at 30 pounds. So the spring was weak. Well, now, the next thing to do is put an extension hose on here and then put the air dryer 50 feet away from the compressor. And then once I get 50 feet away from the compressor, I'll put my air dryer, and then I'll put my other hose to connect my gel coat sprayer, and I'll set the pressure on this at about 15 psi. And then I can spray gel coat on touch-up jobs on the mobile repair shop. Hey guys, go ahead, like, subscribe, follow. I'll keep doing as much as I can. Now we got to disassemble this whole thing because I actually want to paint it, make it look better. Leave a comment down below. Thanks for viewing, guys.